Evening. Just got back from my walk, but I didn't walk today. I didn't have enough time to get to the gas station to get my can of pop since I'm not drinking, at least for a few days now. Um, Thinking about the last video, and I thought about this in the past, but maybe not as deeply as we could talk about it here for a minute. Since I was like fly by the seat of my pants, and it seems kind of weird to write it all up and to think about it and then go off a script like I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation or something. or to spend all this time memorizing. And what's interesting is there's always parts that I think about and then I forget about when I'm talking. They come up later, but somehow they see the future. So this weird thing about how, right? So marriage and love, whatever, um, the two don't necessarily have anything to do together, right? Because people marry for different reasons. And usually it's kind of out of some sort of necessity slash convenience, which I don't know how necessity and convenience could work together. Excuse me while I smoke, since well, every day might be my last cigarette. Dua Lipa said that I got to give her my last cigarette, so well, I can't quit. She ain't showed up yet. um, let's see. So marriage happens for different reasons, and but when it comes down to it, usually the guy gets the short end of the stick after putting in most of the effort. Because the woman's going to put in the effort of the things that she's going to put in the effort that she already has, right? Taking care of herself, taking care of her house, whether you're there or not, if she's somebody who takes care of herself and her house. Of course, there's plenty of slovenly people of every race, type, and sex, but people who are organized, um, she's always going to take care of those things. So taking care of it for a guy that's not even home for 8 hours a day isn't that much of more of a chore. To act like, oh, I slaved all day. I would have had to make myself dinner anyway, but I made you dinner, so you owe me, kind of thing. And we're just looking at the traditional way that relationships are kind of put together. Um, And then when you get married, there's all these things that you promise and vow and say, but you need a third party and everybody show up and all this money and all this hoopla, whatever. Or you just go to the courthouse and you have your stepdad or your mother-in-law or whatever sign the papers and you're out of there. But when it comes down to it, it's this whole like till death do you part and you promise no matter what, sick, health, whatever. But then people just break up for whatever reason, just like they were school kids. Or you know and in a marriage, whenever it's like one person sets a boundary, the other person's got to cross it, like otherwise it wouldn't be a marriage. Who gets to control everything? And especially if it's her, if she already has it all, with or without a male. And I think that history and everything built up to this moment that the world's at on purpose for me to arrive and to be like this, when I would gladly give everything to a woman, just to have her. But if I could keep her like she was a puppy, you know, and then she'd just be there waiting on the chair, right, Tigger? The next time I wanted to give her attention. But it's obviously a lot more complex than that. And the system has realized this long ago and uses it to take advantage of the populace, whether divorce is unheard of whatsoever. And so then, or to marry outside your culture or your neighborhood or your skin color or whatever the case might be, then the system will always use that against everyone and use the media to do it in order to make a whole bunch of fights and everyone stuck glued to their TVs arguing about it. And then some people, like grandma says, yeah, but, my brother so and so, in the 1830s or, in the 1930s, it was unheard of, but, you know, uh, he didn't have any problems, marrying a Polynesian girl or whatever. And so there's always like everyone wants to fight about the what's the right word? The not the exemption, not that the God dang it. A lot of X words. Not the one I want to think of. Um hate it when that happens. Oh well, you know what I'm saying, right? The different one. God dang it. Every other word is running through my head except for the one I want. But then at the same time, now I'm gonna lose my train of thought trying to think of my train of thought. So it wants to make a big deal out of the thing that's different at the same time as um shit. Now I lost my whole train. Um then to flip it around and then pit society against itself continually. That's the media's job, and that seems to be the government's job. In order to govern people, you just keep them running back and forth and running back and forth and confused, or then you put them all to sleep and you give them everything that they need, and so then they can forget about what they're doing for a while, and then all of a sudden you fucking send a whole bunch of hornets in and stir everybody up, and then you just pick them off one by one and take the extra money, and marriage is kind of like that, where Anso is having a baby. My sister said to have her last baby, it costs like $15,000, and it's like thousands and thousands even after insurance. I don't know if that, and I'm like, what the fuck? People have been having babies for free for 10,000, 15,000 since the beginning of time. Now it costs you an entire year's worth of salary to have a baby? Fuck, we should skip the whole doctor bullshit. If you believe in God, well, either the thing's going to come out fine or it won't. What's the point of going to all the goddamn checkups and having insurance and being tied into all that shit unless it's just basic insurance? If you need insurance, but to have insurance, you have to give away your life to have it. And just have an at-home birth and just fucking hire somebody to come over and take care of it. Oh, but what if it's all this fear? What if? Yeah, but supposedly if you focus on those things, and supposedly that's what's going to happen. So then if the whole idea is to be filled with fear so that you'll go to all these events and shit to make sure that the baby comes out right, well, for one, who owns your baby? Does the doctor own your baby? Do you, if it's about the mother being at peace and focusing on the child internally, and that's what's going to ripen the fruit, then why include them? Why include anybody else other than the husband or the dad? Even the parents. So everyone's going to make a big deal of it. They're going to be, oh, I'm so excited for you. But then half the time, they're like, oh, I'm jealous. Or, oh, dang it, whatever, this or that. But then it always comes down to the guy has to pay for all that shit. I would sit on the outside, just have somebody make him dinner at night and have somebody cuddle up to. He's going to get run through the rigmarole and be outside of the project, or have to do everything, and she's just going to do what she naturally was going to do anyway. And then this other thing, what I woke up from a nap thinking, something about prenups and how all the time, like there's a bunch of videos on this of somebody proposing for marriage, and then as soon as he says that you need to sign a prenup, then she just loses it, as if at one drop of sperm and come a line on a test didn't just like condemn his life if she's not going to take care of him. But women are the nurturing ones, right? But then not one can seem to be able to nurture a man when he's already grown. So how the hell is she going to be able to take care of babies? Unless taking care of babies is just like feeding chickens. And so it almost seems that since marriage and divorce, that's all, and having babies is all about the system taking advantage 110% to drain you and to keep you in debt and away from your kids and running to all these appointments and not never have enough money, just to cut all that shit out. All of it. Every bit that you could fucking possibly cut out. Find a way to work from home. And then get insurance through business insurance. And you and your wife are on it. And you're working for each other. And there's the family business until you can expand it. Or use the kids as employees. You know, that's the best part about having family, right? And remove the world from the life while providing for the world from within a life together as a business, because marriage has to do with money and it has to do with a business, and the combining of two businesses, because they made each of our names a corporation apart from our bodies to chain us to the law so that it can come and go as it pleases and decide if it's going to give a warning or if it's going to take your life away at any spot, when the people who are doing it had to give up their rights to even have the right to do it. So then how could they be in the right? They can't, right? So I think that if the system actually cared about anybody to begin with, that for a very low cost rise, that every single fucking marriage license should automatically come with a prenuptial. Knowing how marriage already goes after watching hundreds of thousands and millions of marriages work or not work. Which shows how the system is still on fucking base 10, freaking doing zeros and ones and acting like it doesn't know a goddamn thing about anything, and employing a bunch of people that think they know, but they had to give up their rights to even sit there, and so they don't know, and then dealing with the populace, which is mostly ignorant and only has so much experience on one path of life, in order just to keep draining society and keeping everyone from evolving, while taking all this extra money for no fucking reason in order just to give it back, but not really, because it's just going to take it right back anyway, so everyone's infinitely in debt. But certain parts of society and the system are perfectly taken care of and never have anything to look to need for. Like, I mean, look at how many federal buildings are made out of, like look like goddamn coliseums, and everything is all decorated and fancy and always perfectly kept and everything. And that's where all of our money went, to keep a building up, in order to run everybody in the whole town or city around in circles and have everybody chasing their asses while it eats their heads. Now, obviously, I'm not for or against anything, but these are just some viewpoints that I wanted to share so other people can think about them. because, some things are needed, but it's way overdone, like religion, way overdone and way, way underdone, which is why it always has to come back to the individual, because religion is for the blind, isn't it? Starts with the letter R. And LI, that's 51. Oh, we're going to tell another lie. Oh, you want to believe another lie? Oh, come into Sunday service. We're here to corner the mind. Apart from the mind, corner the spirit. Apart from the spirit, corner everybody. Apart from anybody. And on three. 1, 2, 3. Here comes Jesus. Oh, wait. No, it's Pastor Tom. But you better make your prayers in bed every night. Get on your knees and tell God what you want. Or you can't tell God what you want. You better ask nicely. But it better not be all about you. You better be thinking about everybody else. Don't be selfish. Tell Jesus you love him. He loves you too. Just believe it. The world is such a weird place, and not one bit of it makes a bit of fucking common sense. What's common sense? Yeah, it's not common at all, especially when every word breaks down into meaning the opposite of what the word is. At the same time as it can be used in a lot of ways that are not stated in any dictionary. Plus, if you place it by position in a sentence, then it seems to say something about you, maybe, and nothing about what you said, and has nothing to do with who you were talking to or about. And when you break it down to letters, well, it gets real complicated. You realize why they hid everything and made it so that everybody's stupid, right? I mean, ignorant. Because you only get so smart before you're like, I give up. And then they made everything two times, two ways, three. If a letter D means ground, but it came from Thornton, which is the TH sound, but it's the fourth letter. But four is um, a number, but the number, each of the ground is a word, but it starts with a G, and then four is a word that starts with an F, and then, but what does F mean? What does G mean? And okay, and then what do those words break down into? But then each of those letters breaks down into another word, and it just the hole gets real fucking deep, especially if every word already meant the opposite. Like no means yes and yes means no. But how so? Especially if each word means a sentence, and that sentence can be reinterpreted into another sentence or a paragraph, and and it just keeps going and going and getting deeper and deeper. And so, what the hell is anybody talking about? And especially if the world doesn't make any sense, well, fuck, we made everybody blind, so it should be clear as day what's right and wrong, and yet it's not at all anywhere. So how stupid is that? It's real fucking stupid. So I think everything should come with a prenup. I mean, kids shouldn't have to suffer. If we're gonna break up, I should be able to at least escape with my fucking life. If it's about money, well, that's easy enough since it's about business. But if the children are part of the business, then they're products. They're not something that he or she can own. And so why would she get to keep them? And she be the one to be able to get the money. And if every year then taxes come go to the head of household? How can there only be one head of household if there's a marriage? That doesn't make sense because there has to be a pair. And even if you're split up, then he should get half of the income from the children, especially if he has to pay fucking child support. So that doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense. He has to provide for a whole family aside from himself, but then everyone will provide for her and she can just spend it on herself and get another guy. As long as she doesn't get married to him, then he can provide everything that the husband provided at the same time as get the tax money, get and then act like and keep him hidden from the parents so she can ask the parents for some money and so on and so forth. And so it kind of seems like in this day and age, women are actually being put on the cross. Where if it just takes that one little piece, I mean, at the same time as well, a guy's got to be like me in the sense of there's no reason I'd fuck around. And duh, it's a marriage. We're going to work together and do everything to work it together and, common sense stuff. But then, like, oh, she says, you can tell me anything, don't keep things to yourself. And then as soon as you do, then, then that's a problem. What are you hiding from me? And see, this is the whole thing behind the divine put on to women so that women can be kept in the dark and lead themselves into a whole bunch of things. And a man can stay honorable and everybody can say whatever they want about him. He can be there for the kids, whatever. She can divorce him and say whatever she wants. But then he can just go to work every day and build his life alone. But that doesn't help anything either. And he can stay honorable and she's the one that's fucking around, and every other weekend, is getting somebody to watch the kids so she can go out and have a good time on all the extra money she's getting so she can find another dude. Though in my marriages, a prenuptial wouldn't necessarily change anything because I was always providing everything, mostly. And if not, all the stuff that wasn't there to begin with, and all the stuff that was there to begin with wasn't working. So I was the entire change of the extra of what was growing and what was working. And then to be the part that gets thrown away like some fucking foreskins, right? And a woman can always float her own boat on nothing, just with her flotation devices. But they're paired up, so then that must make it so that her tits make it so she sinks. She can't swim. Guess I'm feeling feisty lately, dissatisfied with the world, wanting things to work out. At least for me. Now that I've worked on thinking about the rest of the world and every different angle of it for so long, when it comes down to it, fuck it all. Shit, I just want a simple life. I mean, fuck, we could start a cookie factory. I don't give a fuck. Me and you, honey, we can just get together and um, you got a place for me to sleep in another room while we like date into it or whatever, and we start working together as a business and build up from there and see if it's going to work out. If not, hey, you just give me the $200 or whatever, or, and send me back home to my parents. Like the other way around, like, she'll always have to move back to her parents' house. You show me your skills, I'll show you how you can use them better. We could build in the next 3 months, build 5 different tarot decks and sell them online and probably provide for our future for a while then we work on something else where one hand needs the other to work. I mean, sure, those people can get along just fine with only one arm, but when it comes to the way that we're made, we can't asexually reproduce, and men are better at certain things, and women are better at certain things. There's certain things that the mind is better at, and there's certain things that the body's better at. There's certain things you can do a lot better when you're high or intoxicated or fucking drunk as hell or whatever. And then there's certain things you can't hardly even do sober. Or yeah, you could do it better sober, but why would you want to? And how to find the balance between all of it. When it comes down to, well, there's no point in balancing the entire universe here because I'm going to need somebody else. So as soon as I got it, I'm all perfect or you're all perfect. That's great. But you're over there, I'm over here. And once we get together, it's going to get messy again. And we're going to have to balance it together. And so there's no point in getting too damn comfortable unless you gave up. So that's it for this evening for now. Later.